People don't like you very much, do they? Sent here to the living lands by an emperor who couldn't bother to come himself. To investigate some plague that seems to be corrupting our very souls. You want us to trust you. But the truth is, you scare us. The way you fight. The power you wield. The secrets you keep. You're either here to save us or destroy us. So now that you have all this power, what are you gonna do with it?
Hi everybody, welcome to Avowed RAW. This is episode number 1. I am Joe the Widget. I am going to be your host for this show, and I am joined with my faithful, and I can't call you a space trucker anymore, so I'm going to call you like the, what's a good one? I should have thought about this before we even aired.
Oh man, yeah.
I can't think of it, like a good medieval distributor, you know?
Yeah.
I'll come up with something in future episodes.
Well, yeah.
Mr. Kilo.
Mr. Kilo. I'll take Mr. Kilo. How's it going, everybody? So excited to get into this. Episode 1.
Yeah, we've done our research. We've got a lot of key points to talk about. This episode is probably not going to be the longest because, well, we don't have gameplay yet. And once we get into the game, we're going to... The idea is to create segments, like lore and things like that. So once we get into the game, we'll start talking more about lore and side quests that are notable, things like that. So once we get in the game, we'll understand it more and be able to kind of figure that out. And if you guys have suggestions, let us know. You can email us or Discord. We'll give that information at the bottom of the show. If you guys don't know, myself and Kilo, we're hosts of a show called Starfield Raw. We recently put that one on hold and decided to take up the mantle on a fantasy RPG. Yeah. So, thus, we have Avowed RAW.
Here we are.
This might be a short-term show, as in 6 months or more. It depends on Obsidian and how much they support the game and how much everyone loves it. If this show is well-liked and Obsidian's doing great with the game, this show could last quite a long time.
Yeah. Well, and as long as our listeners want to keep hearing us jabbering on, that is a factor.
One thing we like to do at Raw Podcast is we like to include the community in our shows. So our Discord is one of the best ways to get you guys involved. And that's discord.gg/Raw Podcasts.
RAWPODCASTS.
My brain farted. Thank you so much.
That's what I'm here for.
I'm so excited to get the show going, and I'm just brain farting all over the place. It's stinky in here now.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that's the best place to go on. Give us your opinions, talk about the game, and we will often feature you guys if good content. Like if you have questions for the show, we'll have an actual section in our Discord for questions for the host or show content, something like that. Go on there, give us your feedback. Tell us what you like. You can even message us directly. Me and Kilo are on Discord all the time.
Yeah,
we usually get back to everybody pretty quick.
Yeah.
Obsidian, if you're listening, we want to get a hold of you. I've been trying to get a hold of you for like two weeks now straight. I've tried everywhere. I think I've messaged Obsidian 7 different ways, 8 different ways.
No, okay.
Even directly on their Discord.
So this is 8 or 9.
Yeah, this is another attempt.
Yep.
If you're hearing this, get a hold of us, please. We want to talk to you.
We'd love to talk to you. Yep, absolutely.
I would absolutely love to get Carrie Patel on here.
Oh, yeah.
She's the director for Avowed. Even talking to some of the writers, art staff, anybody. If you're involved in this game, in the production, we want to talk to you. And we will not do anything that can give anything away. We just want to have a normal, fun conversation.
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
much. Like what was your favorite parts about developing the game? Things like that. I used to be a game developer a long time ago. Yeah. So I like talking to you guys, basically picking your brain.
I'd love to talk to artists and writers as well.
Heck yeah.
Anybody who might be interested.
We even talked to the composer for Starfield RAW, and that was so much fun.
And he seemed like such a good guy.
Oh, he was fantastic. So if we can talk to the composer for this game and maybe get permission to use the game's soundtrack, that'd be amazing.
It would be worth exploring.
Yeah. We have a lot about this game that we're going to talk about tonight. A lot of it's speculation based on only what we've been finding. Like I've watched probably 5 or 6 people go through their pre-play, but this was in alpha and mid-beta, so a lot of things can change in the development of the game.
Right.
And I even watched one of the designers go through a playthrough with somebody I think it was at a con somewhere. It was pretty cool. They were guiding them through a little quest, and it gave some really good information. So let's dive into what we know about Avowed. So we'll just trade off. And the first thing that's kind of important, if you played Pillars of Eternity, which I have not, I'm going to rectify that problem in the near future.
Yeah.
Avowed is set in the world of Eora? E-O-R-A?
Eora?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, based on the Pillars of Eternity games, so.
Yeah. I played both 1 and 2, and I probably have a total of about 5 hours between both games. I honestly, full credit for me originally trying the game goes to Matthew Mercer, because he voices, and some of the other Critical Role cast does as well, and I'm a big fan of Critical Role.
They're great.
It didn't hook me at the time. This is a little bit more of a different style that we're going into here. You know, ever since we've been looking into this and I've been watching videos and reading through the wikis and stuff, I think I want to go back. I believe they're both on Game Pass too. I want to go back and replay and actually give those games a solid chance. Because
so they have a game on Game Pass called Grounded, which is their survival game that they did, Obsidian did.
Yeah.
I downloaded it last night just to try it, just so I can say, hey, I did try this. It's an interesting game. I'll give them that. It's definitely more geared towards kids, but I liked it. So if I can get Pillars of Eternity, I think that's I might do that. I might do that this week, actually.
Yeah, that might be good, actually.
Kind of get myself immersed into the world and the lore, and so I'm not hitting it blindly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did find that there are several videos out in YouTube right now that kind of explain the lore of Pillars of Eternity leading up to Avowed. But from what I understand, Avowed really is set in the world, but doesn't really follow the story of Pillars of Eternity.
Okay. And I know that Obsidian was releasing on their Facebook page a number of, well, not only do they have interviews with the different developers, they also have some lore videos on there. The latest one that I saw today, I did not watch it yet, was on the gods of the Living Lands.
Which actually does play a part in Avowed from what I understand.
Yeah, there's other sources out there too.
And the whole premise of the story is that you are like a godling or something along those lines. I forgot the exact terminology for it. But you are sent to the Adrier Empire, or from the Adrier Empire, from the Emperor, to investigate the Living Lands because there's some kind of mysterious plague occurring.
Right.
That's the premise of the story that you start out with.
Okay.
And from what I've gathered, this is early stuff still, but players can create either a human or an elf-based character.
Okay.
They've been very tight-lipped about the character creation, so there's little information about that.
Right. I did see a little bit of screenshot. I believe I saw the character creation screen where you get to see your backgrounds, and there's like 5 backgrounds, and then a couple of examples from the character creator, but nothing of the actual creator itself. And the characters look great.
So this is something I put in my personal notes, but I've noticed this in this game, and it's again speculation, but based off of what I've been seeing, is that there's a lot of heavy D&D elements in this game.
Like D&D specific, not just being a fantasy game.
Yep.
Okay.
Like there's actually perception checks in the game. I was watching someone go through a quest, and it would come up with perception check succeeded, and give them another choice or another dialogue option in the chat.
Now that seems really cool. That seems like a fun way to do. Actually, we were just talking about this on. I think we were just talking about this on Starfield Raw, the last episode. Giving you a new way to find your objectives, to where it feels like you're doing the work, right? Like not like your hands necessarily being held through the game.
Yeah, I know that they have things like agility and strength and the basic stats. I'm not sure how detailed they go. I couldn't find anything on that. But I'm wondering if you get perks like perception and things like that where you can increase it to have better chances at that kind of thing. Like investigation.
Right.
Again, all speculation stuff, but it's fun. So much like Skyrim, players are not locked into one class or playstyle. And by the way, Obsidian doesn't really like to be compared to Skyrim.
Right.
But everyone knows Skyrim.
I can imagine why.
Yeah, it's a good thing to compare in certain areas.
Right.
From what they're saying is that you can switch up your playstyle on the fly. And I think that might have to do weapon-based. Because I saw a lot of players that would switch their weapon loadout mid-fight and get a whole new ability set.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's kind of cool. You go right from like heavy weapons to, I don't know, like a stealth archer?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
How,
or if you start out stealth archer, pick off a couple, and when they come after you, just kind of switch to your warrior setup and pummel the crap out of them.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
I like the combat from what I've seen too. We'll get more of that in a little bit. It looks like a lot of fun actually, with a big focus on that.
Cool. Yep, that and a lot of exploration. It's kind of seemed like too.
Yeah, I actually analyzed the early build of the combat skills.
Yeah.
So I got to see some of that. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit too. But they're basically saying that players are given a wide variety of skills to choose from that will benefit them in combat no matter what playstyle they prefer. So if you want to play more magic heavy, but you still want to have some like ranger abilities to use a bow every now and then, you can do that. Or if you want to get more defensive and have like a shield option, so you can be a wand carrier with a shield. And
so it really opens up your character creation.
Yes.
Possibilities.
Something they were heavily emphasizing was that. Is that it's very open in how you want to play the game.
I love that.
And like I was saying earlier, players can mix and match their weapons. Lots of dual wield options. A lot. Apparently, according to the game director, dual wielding maces is probably not the best option right now. I'm guessing they were trying to fix that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I've seen a lot of people that carry a book in one hand and have a sword in another, or have a wand in one hand and have a mace in another.
That's awesome. I love that. I want. Where's that movie of Harry Potter?
Oh, right.
Where Harry a wand and a frickin' mace,
carrying a dirk in one hand and a wand in another. Come on, let's do this.
Let's go.
Instead of stun and gun, it's stun and stab.
Stun and stab.
And by the way, there's guns in the game, so I mean you can do stun and gun too.
There you go. Stun and stab. Stun and stab. I think I kind of like that for an episode title.
Yeah, I think that works actually.
Stun and stab.
I do a lot of notes when we record for post production. It works.
Now we're talking a little bit about the different skills and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know New Vegas, I believe the level cap was like 50 or 100 or something like that. Has there been any mention of how high the levels will go in Avowed?
No, but I did see, I don't know if they were able to scroll down or not. The screen captures I caught of the skills.
Yeah.
The skill tree goes level 1, 5, 10, 15, and 20.
Okay.
I don't know if it goes past that, but I do know that a lot of the players in the early builds took 9 hours to hit level 5.
Okay.
So I think leveling could be a very slow thing, but which is fine.
Well, yeah.
All right, so let's do this now. So the screen I saw had it's the early version of the skill tree, but it looks like it goes up to level 20. I don't know if it goes further. I don't know if they were able to scroll down further or not. Go level 30, 40, I don't know. But from what I saw, it was, like I said, you have skill lists in level 1, 5, 10, 15, and 20. Each skill had 3 ranks.
Okay.
So kind of like Starfield, where you can increase the rank of your skill based on what you're doing.
Right.
I don't know if it takes a skill point to just add in there, or if you have to do something like Starfield to unlock the next rank of it.
Right.
But there were a significant amount of skills, in each one. I didn't get to see anything. Only the ones I saw was the warrior and ranger. I didn't get to see the other ones. So what I saw was fighter, ranger, wizard, godlike, and companion.
Okay.
So there are skills you can give your companions that they can activate on command.
See, that's pretty cool too.
Or use it freely based on how you set
I
it.
wonder how that skill tree is going to... I mean, they say that you can switch your loadouts and you can adjust your play styles. How's that reflected in the skill tree? Is that going to be something that you can either, you buy back your skill points to change things, or, like what's the nature of the skills where you're not necessarily hurting yourself by switching from a sword to a bow? I'd be interested to see how that works exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if it would reset your skills and the count and the cooldowns. I'm not sure. I saw spells like have an actual cooldown system.
Yeah.
Like the ranger one, they get an ability where they can entangle their target. Okay. And but that had like a 60-second cooldown or a 30-second, something like that. Oh, okay. That's actually a really good ability for a ranger if you think about it. Being able to just hold them in place and just pelt them away.
Yeah. That's also very D&D.
Yeah, it really is. And it does look like magic plays a very heavy role in the game.
Very cool.
But one of the things I saw that was pretty interesting is that there's a lot of puzzles in the world. A lot.
Okay.
And what I saw that they could be solved in multiple different ways. Like there's one that had like a lightning bolt icon over it. Okay. So you could either use any one of your electric-based spells to activate it, but they also had these electric grenades that you can throw at it.
Oh, okay. So you have some options.
Yeah. From what I was saying, there's like, if there's a breakable wall, there's multiple ways you could do it, whether it be magic, through force, and different various ways to get around it. So
you're not necessarily shooting yourself in the foot if you go a full martial build in this game.
Which, I'm so excited to get into this combat system and go for it. Where are we at on the main list here?
Parkour, I believe.
Well, that's something we could do too. They've talked a lot about having a heavy emphasis on parkour system. So climbing and jumping, a lot of those. That's the word. Not parkour puzzles really, but there was another word we used to use for it in Minecraft all the time. I had to jump from block to block and not die and fall.
Right.
Can't think of the name. I'm sure my son, if he hears this, will yell at me about it.
Right. Someone's yelling at their radio or their phone.
I don't know if you can freely climb on anything.
Okay.
It didn't look like there was an indicator on that.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. So that one I have no answer on.
There's a certain game series that I've been missing. I haven't played in a very long time that features a lot of parkour, and that'd be a big selling point for me personally.
Assassin's Creed?
Like platforming, right? Like going from like ledge, like jumping.
Yep.
Yeah, something like, I mean, that's, I don't know, that
parkour.
That speaks a little bit to my parkour. That speaks a little bit to my, our younger days of gaming with like Tomb Raider or something like that, right?
That made up like 80% of our games back then.
Pretty much, yeah.
And you're sweating, your feet and your palms are sweating as you're trying to get the next jump.
Right, exactly. You get to the end of the level, you're wiping your hands off on your pants, Yep.
On the story side of it, Obsidian has confirmed on multiple occasions that Avowed narrative and side stories will be driven by player choice, and they heavily emphasize player choice in a
well, we've heard it before from other games, right? So
well, like even in Starfield, we had player choice, and it kind of affected maybe a little bit of the outcome of the quest. But in Avowed, they're saying that your choices can affect the entire game.
Okay,
and even affect your ending, because we do know that there's at least 20 endings. They're saying 20 plus.
That's crazy.
And your choices in the game all determine what that ending's going to be.
Oh, there's your replayability right there.
Yeah, there's no New Game Plus, but and I think that's largely to do with the fact that there are very many endings.
Yeah.
So there's not really a way to do a New Game Plus off of that. They said, well, what do you do when you're finished the game? Start a new character. Try again. Get a new ending.
Yeah. Like how we used to do it.
Yeah.
Way back before they brought the dirt in, right? So
my favorite game of all time is Chrono Trigger. And one of the things I loved most about that game was that your choices in the game determined the ending of the game, which there was multiple. Yeah. But in that game, there was like 12. Yeah. Which was unheard of back then.
What was it? True Crime Streets of LA was the first game that I really went through. My buddy and we both had the week off from work, and we just sat down and played this game forever until we got through all 3 endings.
Nice.
Guess what? You had to go all the way back to the beginning because all of your choices determined like your karma, and it determined whether you got the neutral, good, or bad top ending of the game,
So one of the things I was hearing that was fascinating, You know, in some games that have like couple different endings, there's like a pivotal moment where you save the game and you just make a different choice to get a different ending.
Right.
In this game, your choices can start from the very beginning to affect the end.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about it. It's not like, I mean, I know that was why I keep dropping other games in here, but that was a complaint about Mass Effect, and one that I couldn't even argue against was the fact that you literally played through all 3 games, made a bunch of decisions. You decided, you know, how to allocate resources from the galaxy, upgrade your companions, which ones you pick, what, you know, all these things. And it still only came down to, within the last 30 minutes of the game, you're standing here with 3 choices in front of you, and that's it. You just picked one from that point.
Yeah.
And then that was the ending. But this, I love that. Right from the beginning, every decision you make, I'm
has
here
an
for
effect
it.
in the overall story arc. I'm
love
wondering
that.
if even some of the side quests, whether you choose to do them or not do them, can have an effect at the end of the game. Or affect even how you get to the end of the game.
It's got to.
That's what I've been thinking too.
Yeah, see, now my gears are turning so hard right now as we're recording. You know, it seems right now, from everything that we've learned, we haven't obviously, you know, we're not special enough to have gotten our hands on the game yet, but it seems like they're addressing a lot of things that gamers have been kind of craving the past few years in a game.
Yeah.
Ability of your character developments, your ability to affect the overall story
And the environment around it.
and yeah, absolutely. So that's very exciting stuff.
I think that's where the biggest replay value of this game is going to come from, is the fact that you can play one game, play another one, and it could be a completely different experience.
Completely different. Yeah, absolutely.
They even said that you, in an interview I saw with Carrie, said you can actually side with the antagonist of the game.
That's cool. I love the idea of that.
Like, what's going to happen at some point?
Listen, we both have had this conversation before. A true evil playthrough.
Something I never could do in Starfield.
We can never do so. You know. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
That's definitely going to happen. That might
Carrie,
even be my
come talk
second
to us,
playthrough.
please.
Yes. Come
Carrie.
on. We'll be nice. We don't bite. Not much.
Dude, it's just...
The next thing I'm kind of curious about, we can get back into the whole mold winning thing in a minute,
Yeah, that's fine.
is that you can recruit various companions. So I think they said there was something like 8 or 9 throughout the game, that some of them will come and go, but some of them you can choose to stick with you.
Well, I know of 4 main ones. These are the ones that we keep seeing in the promos and things like that.
Yeah.
Yatzli, Marius, Giada, and Kai.
Yeah, those are the names I've heard.
Yeah, and I know those specifically because when I was on the Avowed website, I accidentally, swear to God, downloaded the cosplay guide, which I didn't even know was a thing. Apparently it is.
Oh, yeah.
So I have this giant PDF on my phone. Well, it's not giant. It's not that big, but these PDFs on my phone, and it's like a detailed. So if you're a cosplayer, it gives a detailed imagery and description of all of the characters' outfits. So if you want to be ready for the next con, go to the website, and it's right there on the bottom, and you can't miss it. I didn't even mean to.
You came by it by accident. I've seen those guides. Like, they have a lot of them for games like Borderlands.
Yeah. See, I didn't know, because I always what was the one? There was this Russian cosplayer, and she was not really well known until she did Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite. The main character's, well, spoilers for BioShock, the main character's daughter. But like she ended up doing all these promos and stuff for them because she looks so much like the character from the game. And I always wondered, I'm like, you don't really see that in the advertisements. Like, how do you even come up with that? And apparently that's a thing. I didn't know it was a thing until literally yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not big in the cosplay world, but I know a few things about it.
Yeah.
I know that there's even some developers do it themselves, like apparently Obsidian, where they release like cosplay guides to kind of give you details about their outfits and makeup and things like that. And even cosplayers themselves will do that.
Yeah. I got a few friends that do, but I got a buddy of mine who does a really good Devil May Cry, actually. But I just never got into it. Although, who knows? Maybe I'll dress up like Giada if we ever go video.
Which is a possibility. That could happen.
Yeah, we're talking about it. No guarantees.
One thing that Obsidian did confirm, though, is that there is no romance in the game. So companions are not romanceable.
I did see that.
I'm kind of on the fence about that, because it's one thing I actually really enjoyed with games like Starfield.
Right.
Is it drew me into the character more, made me care about that character more.
I mean, New Vegas, you had it. I don't know, but it's not. It's not. My guess is that either it has something to do with the fact that there's so many endings and your decisions have so much impact that something like that would be too unpredictable to kind of map out.
That's true.
Or they thought that it would take away from the focus on the story, which is where they want their players to be.
Okay, that makes sense in a way. I mean, it'd be nice to have the romanceable option, but have like its own side story to it. But I can see how it's not really like a make or break thing for me in any game. Just like a nice little added feature.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that Obsidian's been really hammering in is that Avowed is not an open world RPG. It's what they call they call it an open zone RPG. So you go into these zones in the game, and the map is huge. You go zone to zone based off of the story. So when you get past a certain story point, a new zone opens up and you can go explore that zone.
Yeah. For those who are familiar, it sounds a lot like, to me, like The Witcher 3, where you would go through bit by bit.
Yeah. You can go anywhere you want in that zone that you're doing. And from everything I saw is that these zones are jam-packed with content. Like in some games, you can travel for 10, 15 minutes walking around and not see much till you get to a particular point. But there are key points everywhere. They were talking about how you can take one step around a corner and suddenly there's a new quest. You go 5 steps the other way and there's another new quest. Or there's a hidden chest there with a puzzle. It's just constant all over the place. Up and down, all around.
For the completionist, do we have an answer to this question? Can you, if you're looking for a collectible of some kind, just to say, can you go back to a previous zone and explore it to try to find the items that you missed? Or do you think it's a case of it's one and done? If you don't get it while you're there, you're not going to be able to go back?
That I don't know. I would imagine if you did complete a zone, you'd be able to, unless there's some kind of like travel restriction based on the story.
Right.
I don't know. That's something we're going to have to find out.
Yep. Add it to the list.
One of the content creators I was watching said that he found 100 hidden chests in the starter zone.
100 hidden chests.
He said it was a little bit overwhelming. They was constantly getting them, and he felt that maybe it would be better if they had less chests with better content inside the chests.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can see how that could be the case, but with my luck, I need 100 chances.
Right. If you're new to the network, Widget's bad luck in video games is the stuff of legends.
It's not a joke either. It's
you
true.
You will learn this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about that plenty of times on this show. And their items are the typical RPG quality standards. So you have like your common white quality, your rare, very rare, legendary type thing.
Okay.
One of the guys I was watching, he wound up getting his character in full legendaries by the time he finished the first zone.
Mm-hmm.
And the legendaries are, it doesn't matter what playstyle you're doing, you can pick up and wear anything. But bonuses and attributes of that may not really fit with what the way you're playing, so you need something different.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anything that you can pick up and put in your inventory, you can pretty much use.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know if there's like strength restrictions, agility restrictions, and things like that, like a typical RPG.
Right. Or if you can just run around being a wizard with like heavy plate armor on.
Yeah.
And a shotgun
strapped to your back.
I might be out of spells, but I'm not out of shells.
Dun dun dun. Dirty Harriet over here. Dirty Harry Potter? I don't know.
Dirty Harry Potter? Oh, okay. Now we're on to something. Hang on. We need to talk after the show. J.K. Rowling just messaged me. Uh-oh.
There is a very large focus, a very heavy focus on exploration and combat in this game. Combat happens very, very frequently. And I actually watched a boss battle. They called it a mini boss.
Okay.
And that fight took a long time.
Oh.
Because it kept on throwing ads and things like that. Like it would spawn a healer behind it that would start healing it. So you had to go take care of the healer. But when you're going after the healer, 2 archers spawn in and come after you. It was just all over the place. So he had to focus on everything before he was able to focus on the boss. But he would have his companion focus on the boss while he took care of everything else.
Oh, wow. That's
and he kept switching.
Pretty intense.
Kept switching his spells or his loadouts all the time.
Yeah.
Just based on what abilities that he needed for particular scenarios.
Yeah, I think we're talking about another game here where I'm going to stick my butt right on normal where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. I love it.
That's what we had for what we know so far. I mean, there's a couple things I added in that I noticed that was interesting, like the fact that you can get the upgrade edition on if you have like a subscription to Xbox or you're playing for the premium or whatever. It costs $23 to get the upgraded version to get the 5 days early and all the extra goodies.
That means you get to start playing on February 13th if you get that for $23.
Which I did do. I went ahead and picked it up so I can talk about it because the 13th we're going to be recording that night. So I'll have a chance when the game releases at 10 a.m. that morning, Pacific Standard Time. Mm-hmm. I'll be hopefully have a few hours in and talk about it on next week's episode.
Okay. Awesome. I'll be able to sit here and just ask questions.
Yeah, I couldn't find a way to gift it.
Nah.
There was no way to gift it. I was sitting there searching for like 10 minutes. It's right now an Xbox exclusive. So PC and your Xbox consoles. So the Xbox app, basically, if you're on PC. But there are rumors that it's going to be going to PS5 later in the year. I
did see that.
I didn't find anything concrete on that.
Yeah.
But a lot of speculation and rumor on it.
I saw a lot of screenshots of a young lady who I don't know who she is. I don't know if that was Carrie or not. I remember one of the taglines was like, does this mean it's coming to the PS5? So take it with a grain of salt. As we've always said on our shows, rumors are rumors until something's concrete. Don't set your heart on it. But hopefully PlayStation players will be getting it, yeah. We
don't really cover rumors too often because they do tend to be wrong or change.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think I saw enough of it where it's a strong possibility. Xbox has been releasing a lot of their big titles recently to other game developers to use, like PlayStation.
Right.
Which I think is smart.
I need a little of that back, okay? I need some PlayStation to come over to the Xbox because I'm missing out on the Final Fantasy VII Remake stuff. I'm still a little bit bitter about that. So yeah, let's make that street two ways, all right?
If you guys don't know, I'm a PC player. And my boy Kilo's an Xbox player. So you got two different perspectives of it here.
Yep.
The art style.
What about the art style?
I saw quite a few people, and they're giving their opinions on the game. And it was kind of mixed on what people thought about the art style of the game. Some people didn't like it, said it was too cartoony.
Cartoony?
Mm-hmm. Oh. That it wasn't realistic enough. But I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's a beautiful game.
Look, okay.
Here we go.
Listen, this... Video games, there was a golden era. I would say it'd be around the PS2, Xbox time, where people recognized video games for what it really was, and it's an art. Stylization of the world helps lend to the story, helps lend to the feel of the game. Not everything has to look like Cyberpunk running at maximum computing power on your Master Race PC, okay? It's all about the feel of the world. You use the art that's appropriate to what you're doing. This is a fantasy game. It is, it's... Go ahead.
A lot of people did not like...
Brakes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Slow down a little bit, buddy. I'm kidding. Go nuts.
I'm okay.
Borderlands, a lot of people didn't like that art style at all before it released. They ragged on it constantly. And now it's a very popular art style. People wind up loving it.
Right.
I know I do.
Right. Yeah.
And I also know why they're doing it a little bit toned down, a little bit more cartoony, or cel shaded in some ways. And so that it maximizes performance because it is going to Xbox console as well as PC. And the lower end PCs can't really handle heavy graphic games. And the more realistic you go, the more computing power is required, the more GPU you need. They've already said that they've confirmed 60 frames a second, at least on Xbox.
Okay, see, there you go.
And you can hit that easily on lower end or mid-range, low-end PCs. So I think the choice in that was pretty smart. And honestly, it lends to the combat quite a bit to make it look more fluid.
Oh, okay. See?
I like it. So far, I liked it a lot. The environment is really pretty.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Some people were complaining about the numbers floating over the enemies' heads, the damage numbers. Thing that looked too cartoony and like a comic book.
Okay, are we... All right. Listen, chitlins. All right, with your COD and your Minecraft, sit down. The adults are talking. You need to relax. This is not like new. All right.
Right.
See, Wigit and I, we're OGs. Okay, we've been playing since the Atari and the NES, and that's not a flex. I'm just saying, a lot of these games seem to be going back and kind of harkening back to the roots of gaming, the things that used to make gaming great. And the art style and the numbers of over the head is not crazy. Just stop complaining about everything. Wait till you get the game in your hand. Experience it.
Yeah. Well, some people I've watched were actually experiencing the game. Yeah, but still, it's way over picky.
12.
Yeah. Way over ridiculous to nitpick that much. I think it looks fantastic.
Right.
And I actually like seeing the damage numbers in bold. I'm colorblind, so it's going to make it super easy for me to see them. And I'm a mid-maxer. I want to know how much damage I'm doing with what I'm doing so I can adjust things.
Yeah. See? There you go. It's got a purpose.
Yeah. Talked about the skill tree, which I'm going to get into that a lot more in future episodes, especially when I get into I'm definitely doing... We'll talk about that in a second, actually.
Okay.
Let me see here. We're switching to loadouts, D&D elements, and the morality choices. We cover pretty much anything, so let's just get into this.
Okay.
What kind of build are you thinking about doing out of the gate? Do you have an idea?
Listen, I am lying to myself if I say anything other than stealth archer, because in fantasy games, that's always been my go-to. I'm not,
That's
I
my
could even
go-to
start
too.
out. I could start out a game like, okay, I'm not gonna do stealth archer. I am so gonna do a two-handed great swordsman, and then I'll get about 15-20 hours into the game, and all of a sudden I'm sneaking around bushes and sniping people.
Normally that's my go-to too. I was thinking ranger. Oh, I saw ranger. That's my go-to. I'm gonna nail that.
Yeah.
Take my bow out, my guns, and go crazy. Normally, if there's a choice between guns and bows, like one of my favorite games I've been playing, Icarus, is that there's guns and bows you can use in the game. I stick to bow. I build my character around that. But in this game, especially if you're gonna go archer, I kind of want to give a different perspective on it. So I was actually thinking more going heavily into the magic side of things.
Yeah, I think one of us should do
So I might do that. I think I might make my first character a wizard of some kind. No idea what godlike is. If it's like special godlike ability, I don't know. There's too much to speculate on that. They really didn't give that much information about it.
Right.
But I do have a companion support, and I know that the first companion you get, you can actually use as a tank.
So it's almost...
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not hurting as much in the early game if you want to do something like an archer or, a spell slinger of some kind.
Yeah. I love ranged, so I might be doing a heavily ranged wizard, but then have some kind of like a loadout for sword and board, aka shield and sword, for up close encounters when I can't use my magic or I'm too much on cooldown. I won't know until I get into the game, but that's kind of what I'm going for, is playing kind of a mix between wizard and godlike and seeing how that plays out.
It'd be kind of cool if you could do something like an eldritch knight.
Yeah.
Or like an arcane trickster, to harken back to D&D a little bit there.
Yeah.
Something that's like
a magic user rogue.
Yeah, yeah.
That could be fun, because I know that there's sneaking up abilities, and one thing I saw in the combat that was interesting is that it's typical in a lot of games, but there's a stun meter, and when you stun your enemy, you get options to unleash a special ability.
Okay.
Like I saw with was a mid-range sword, the guy was kicking the snot out of this boss or this enemy, got the stun meter full, and just reached back and just grabbed him by the shoulder and stabbed into him really quick, twisted it, and
amazing.
He drops.
I love it.
There's a lot of knockback abilities, and they said have fun with that because there's a lot of interesting things that can happen when you're knocking enemies around everywhere.
Right. Well, it sounds, the way the combat, my brain working faster than my mouth there for a second. The way you described the combat that the one guy had earlier, where it was like the mini boss and then you had the healers and the arch, it seems like you kind of need to have that so that you can adjust and, improvise in the situations that you encounter.
I saw that too. And one instance, before he got to the boss, there was this room of sleeping spiders.
Okay.
So he went in, he switched to like this dagger loadout and snuck up to the spider and gave a little quick fatality while it was still sleeping. And then all the spiders woke up and he switched his loadout and went into full combat mode using area effect spells and just going nuts.
You know what that tells me though? At first I'm like, I don't know, like Elden Ring popped into my head. But what that actually tells us is that it's going to be difficult to get bored of combat. Combat is going to be unique. It's going to put you into different situations so it doesn't feel as repetitive.
Yeah. And being able to mix up things is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Lost my train of thought for a second there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In that instance where he was fighting that boss, there was like multiple levels inside this. It was inside of a cave, a circular cave room. And there was like these platforms on either side that he had to go up on. And there's one thing that cracked me up is there was a warrior skeleton that he went after. He tried doing a spell down at him on the bottom, but the warrior climbed up to avoid it as he's jumping down. He notices the warrior's up there, so he jumps back up. The warrior drops down. And there's a little back and forth forever until he finally stuns it.
Amazing.
Knocks it off the shelf and then goes after it.
Did we mention what Carrie had said about the length of the quest in the game?
No, we have not.
So Carrie Patel said in another interview that the main quest itself should take about 15 hours. To complete everything, you're probably talking about 40. But as Wigit mentioned earlier, there's guys who have been just in the first zone for 9-10 hours.
Yeah. And they said they didn't explore everything yet.
I think maybe they might have undersold that a little bit, and it's really just going to come down to how much you want to invest in exploration of the world.
But if you think about it, with 20 endings, even at 40 hours, you're looking at 800 hours.
If you go back and attempt to get every single one, yeah.
That's if there's only 20. They're saying 20 plus.
Unless you're Wigit, and then no matter what decisions you make, you keep getting the same ending over and over and over again.
Yeah, pretty much. Dice don't like me. Random number generator is my enemy. And that occurs a lot in video games, especially when there's gear and loot involved from chests. Yeah, if you're curious about my legendary luck, there's a few episodes that you can check out in Starfield Raw that kind of showcase that quite a bit.
It's obnoxious. It is.
Yeah.
It statistically does not make sense at all.
I break the statistics, man.
Seriously.
I think that they are underselling the time based on what I've seen, which I think is a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a really bad thing for any company to do, to overpromise, underdeliver. It's a smart thing to underdeliver or underpromise and overdeliver.
Yeah. And
I'll
that's
take
what
that
I think Obsidian,
any day of the week, yeah.
Yeah. I think what Obsidian is doing here. I'm kind of getting a sense that maybe Obsidian, one of their pastimes is to learn from Bethesda's mistakes.
Why not? That's all part of the industry. Look what everyone else has done. If people didn't like or liked it, and then play on that.
Yeah. Oh, and Carrie did also say, by the way, I believe it was in that same interview, that possible future DLC is a maybe at this point. May or may not be one. Outer Worlds had some, other titles in the past, they have expanded on at future dates, but right now it's a maybe. It's not a yes or no.
Okay. Well, it depends on the popularity of the game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to see how well it does.
If it's a huge success, then yeah, they'll probably knock out a few DLC.
I mean, honestly, just based on what we've talked about today, it's looking pretty good. It's definitely got my attention.
Yeah. And they were talking about how they're also doing Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah. Yep. That one's upcoming.
No release date on that though.
Right. I think it's been a good while since I've played a new fantasy RPG. I'm kind of excited for this.
It's been a long time for me too that I really got into one. I played Harry Potter for a little bit, the Hogwarts Legacy. I didn't beat it though.
Yeah.
I went pretty far in it. Fun game. Played the snot out of Skyrim.
Yeah, well, who hasn't?
Yeah, that game was like 40 hours to complete, and I think I put in like 1,200.
They got released in like 2011, and they've released like 5 different editions across 4 generations of platforms. But
I tried to see if they were going to open up the API on this game for modding.
No word on that yet? Or
nope, haven't seen anything about it.
No, it might not be something they do.
I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, especially with the multiple endings and how they're doing the story arc, it could be game breaking if they did that.
Right.
I don't know. I think the game could lend itself to some good add-ons though, mods.
I mean, I guess it's going to come down to what it looks like when we actually get into it and, see.
Yeah, Obsidian, if you want to give us advanced copy of the game to go over so we can talk about it fully on the next episode, we'd be honored to do so for you.
Yep, I'd be okay with that. I'd open my weekend for that.
Yeah, this weekend would be just dedicated to that. Nothing but that.
Everything that we're talking about though, like I kept thinking, how many times throughout the episode I like Shining Force has popped into my head, because it's making me, it's like I'm getting the feel of back when I first played Shining Force on Genesis, like a true fantasy RPG. I don't know. I'm feeling a little nostalgic, maybe.
Yeah, that's possible.
It seems like we have a classic fantasy RPG with today's technology.
Yep.
with the things that players have been craving the last few years, I think it's a pretty good recipe we got cooking.
There's been a lot of anticipation for this game, especially because I've been following a lot of like the cons and things like that, especially the Gamescom in Germany. And even this last year, they were talking heavily about it. It's been talked about for the last 2 or 3 years pretty heavily. Yeah. And a lot of speculation, especially when they said, hey, we're going to have multiple endings. And when they said 20 plus, everyone was like, oh.
Right, of course. That's going to get people's attention.
And when you're making your choices that actually affect the world and the outcome around you, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. I think the last game that I saw that did that would have to be, that I've played, mind you, would have to be like Fable 2. That's the last time I played a game that had multiple ways that the game could end depending on the decisions that you made throughout the game. Yeah,
Fable 2 is one of my all-time favorites.
It's a classic.
I played every Fable game. 3 was 2 was amazing. 1 was really good. And there's a new Fable game coming out in the near future.
There is indeed.
Maybe we'll do a Fable RAW.
Hashtag Fable RAW.
For now, though.
One day we're going to come across a game that's going to make that sound really awkward.
It really
Just slapping raw at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Too many jokes.
Kitty Land Raw, yeah.
Happy Kitty Land Raw.
Hello Kitty Island Raw.
No, Slime Rancher Raw.
Oh, jeez.
All right, that was too far.
Beast Lord Raw. Okay, yeah, we're moving on from that. We're moving on from that. So what is this Chia pet thing?
Dude, okay. Yeah, so a couple days ago, I was on Facebook. I'm good. I was on Facebook, and I didn't even have the sound on, I don't think. It just kind of scrolled up and found it. But what it is, it's basically a little statue, and it's in the shape of the bear that we see in the trailers. That bear with the mushrooms covering it.
Yeah.
So you pack this thing. Bear. Yeah, you pack this thing full of fungus and soil of some kind. And it's basically like a reverse chia pet. It grows from the inside, and you can grow mushrooms.
I saw that on X.
It looked like Obsidian partnered with, I believe, I want to get this right, North Spore, to create this little figurine that you can grow mushrooms in your house like a chia pet.
I want one,
but not a chia pet. It looks cool.
Why not? I'll take one.
It looks cool.
I have to move in a month, so I could use that for my apartment.
Yeah, there you go. It beats the brakes off a watch, I guess.
Dun, dun, dun. So. We're not going there. That's pretty much what I have for today's episode. Is there anything else you want to cover before we end the night?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to see what comes up in the next week. Wigit's going to get his hands on the game a few days early, and then we'll have some more stuff for you next Friday.
We were originally planning on doing full gameplay content on the 3rd episode, but hopefully my buddy over here can get in early too by some help, Obsidian, and we can nail out some good gameplay on the next episode.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm going to definitely I'm going to try to cover as much as I can of the character creation and early combat.
Okay.
And see what we can come up with, but yeah, stay tuned for episode 2.
I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions.
I'll
be like everybody else.
Everything I can.
I'll be the man. Yeah, I tell you what, man. You start podcasts and the brain just shuts down.
It does. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
I'll be the audience's analog.
There you go.
Oh, go see our Discord and get in there. So if you have questions, we have a section dedicated to Avowed. Get in there, ask some questions, mention anything we want to talk about on the show, and we'll make sure that we cover it in the next episode, as long as it's not wildly inappropriate.
And you'll get credit for it on the air as long as your name's not wildly inappropriate.
Or unpronounceable.
Yeah, unpronounceable. If you know anything about our cast, you know that unpronounceable names is kind of the not Achilles heel, but...
yeah, you had it right.
Yeah, of my boy Kilo over here. It's just, you don't do it.
Right.
This show is tagged M on iTunes. We're going to go ahead and say, fuck playing nice. Let's just have fun with this. And
there we go.
Not worry about having to beep all the words.
I am so surprised you're the first one to do that. And I've gotten so used to recording Starfield Raw where we were watching our mouths that I've been catching myself all episode. And you're the first one to swear. What is happening? The world is turned upside down. Nothing makes sense anymore.
All right, we're going to get into the fun part of the show, aka how to reach us. If you want to email us for advertising opportunities for the show, for suggestions, anything business related, podcastraw@gmail.com. And that's our overall network email. So any of our shows. And speaking of our shows, our flagship show, Raw and Nerdy, is available everywhere, including YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and it's a show about everything nerdy, really. We've been lately talking about, we're doing a series, Gaming Through the Ages, where we started talking about the Atari 2600. All three of the hosts give their top 10 list of each system in order of their favorite games based on their personal preferences, and talk about each system as we go through each week. We just finished the PlayStation 2, and we're going into the GameCube this week.
GameCube.
Yeah.
GameCube classic.
And we talk about science, movies, TV, books, all of it.
Now, are you going to have a little aside, okay? Because I noticed you skipped the Sega CD, the Dreamcast,
a
couple of those.
We skipped a couple of those because they were not popular. And there was a couple systems where a top 10 list wasn't possible because they didn't have 10 games.
Fair enough.
So,
even that, now, as I'm thinking about the Dreamcast and the Sega CD, I'm only thinking of like one game for each that I played a lot of.
We're going to mention the Dreamcast only in slight. I think
okay, fair enough.
Next episode, the next episode after that. But Raw and Nerdy, RAW and Nerdy. Check it out everywhere. If you've been playing Starfield or interested in it, we did almost 2 years of content of that show.
Yep.
Starfield Raw.
Episodes.
Yep. And everything's still on the air, so you can check it out. Myself and Kilo will most likely be doing some future episodes as they release more DLC of the game and major content. So stay tuned for that.
Indeed.
And if you want to reach us, the best way to do that, guys, is on our Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, Google it. You'll thank me later. It's my favorite form of social media because you can control it.
Yeah. Well, it's fun, too. And it helps that we have a great community there.
We have built an amazing community there. Or they built it, actually. We just kind of sponsored it.
Right.
Discord.gg/raw podcasts. RAWPODCASTS. And it's easy enough just to put that in your web browser. Type that out, discord.gg/raw podcasts, and it will give you right there just a little button to join.
Yep.
Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our Twitter is @Avowed RAW, and our Instagram
is Raw Podcasts 1.
For some reason, I cannot be the one to give that one, and only that one.
No, that's my job. Listen, I got one job on this stupid shit.
And that's what it's going to be. You can follow us individually as well. I am @TheWigit, THEWIGIT, everywhere.
And I am Kilo Tango 1122 everywhere.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I am so excited to get this show up and running and going, and even more excited to play the game. So have a fantastic week.
Peace out.